Question for you. Do you have an intentionally designed salon space? I'm not just talking about some nice candles or some posters on your wall. I'm talking about a space that is gorgeous, functional, and takes into considerations the needs and desires of your clients. Today I'm chatting with Aly McKinnon, who is an expert in helping hairstylists and estheticians design the space of their dreams. And having a beautiful salon space that is functional isn't just about showing off on Instagram. It also impacts your business, your bottom line, how much money you make, the clients that you attract, and the clients that you keep. Salon design is so important, and I'm so excited for this conversation with Allie. So let's jump into it. Hey, Allie, I am so pumped up that you're here. So happy to talk about design. This is such a fun topic. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited we finally get to talk.
Yeah, I was just telling you before when we were in the green room of I've been following you for several years because I think we collaborated on some different summits together. And I feel like we're recording this at the end, like going into the new year. So the end of the year. And I really do feel like design and creating an intentional space is such a great topic.
Oh, yes. I feel like this is just the perfect time to kind of like get a new fresh start. And like, why not start with a fresh look too?
Yes, absolutely. And do you think that there are a lot more people opening salon suites? Because you specialize with salon suites, right?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I feel like right now, everyone's still kind of looking for that very intentional side of their business. Like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the bigger salons still have a place,
Yeah.
but the smaller, like more intimate salon suites are definitely still going strong.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that with so much like business and marketing education, people are like, I can do this on my own. Like, I don't need to have a boss. Like, I can find my own space, make it beautiful, make it my own, and be successful that way.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like I find too, the more personal you make it, the more longevity you have in that space. I feel like you have a little bit more of that drive to make things work, the more connected you are to the space.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got into this whole design of, salon spaces and salon suites?
Yeah. So I've been behind the chair for a little over 10 years now. And I decided to take the leap and move into my own suite probably about 6 years into my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I really honestly care about interiors. So I took a lot of time to make sure my space was everything I wanted it to be and more
Before you actually opened?
before it actually opened. Because, fun fact, I signed my lease for my first space the week before the first COVID shutdown.
Oh, yay, perfect timing.
Perfect timing. So it was absolutely horrifying because
Yeah, I bet.
I had 3 months of just downtime to sit and dream and plan. And I kind of just went all in with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was finally able to move in, I had the unique situation where, because it was a new building and none of us could move in yet, we all moved in at the same time. So I was very prepared. I was up and ready to go within 2 days. My neighbors were definitely struggling. And so I
Mm.
kept getting pulled and asked questions about where I found things or how I thought to do things a certain way. And since this has always just been something I've done, regardless if it's like an apartment or a drawer room or my
Mhm.
home, it was really fun to help my fellow stylists create hair dream spaces. And it
Yeah.
kind of just had this sparker. So I kind of just wrote everything down, my design process, and now here we are.
Amazing. So you still do hair, you still have clients, but you also have this other side of your business where you help other stylists and other, I guess, estheticians, anyone who's got a salon suite to design their dream space.
Yeah, so I'm behind the chair probably about 2 days a week at this point, and otherwise doing design stuff on the other days. And it's not exclusive to just hairstylists, because I feel like a lot of the times with design and organization, you
Hmm.
kind of need someone that's been in the industry to know how
Yeah.
to mean things and like
Hmm.
what. So it kind of just worked itself out, and it is such a fun job. I can't believe this is what I get to do. It doesn't feel like work at all.
That's amazing. That means that you found like what you were born to be doing. I love to hear that. So can you tell us a little bit to start off with of why the design of your space is so important to the success of your business?
So I feel like design goes hand in hand with marketing. I feel like you definitely need marketing and branding to set yourself apart online.
Mm-hmm.
And your design and space is taking that online branding and bringing it in the physical space.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you an opportunity to show consistency, but it also allows you to show your personality within your business.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, it's not just about the hair. Like our clients are coming to us because they like who we are as people. And
Mm-hmm.
so having design in your space kind of reflect who you are as a person, but also mirror back the needs and the desires of your client. It
Yeah.
kind of levels up your career in a way that you didn't think was possible. It's all about intentionality and consistency.
Yeah, I love that. So, can you share what you mean a little bit more about like reflecting the desires and the needs of your clients?
Yeah. So I feel like, yes, you're designing for yourself and like what you want to see in your space each day. But when you're taking the time to make the design for your space,
Uh-huh.
you really sit and think about that dream client. And what you can do with that is, who is that dream client? What kind of job do they do? What kind of things do they like? And you can kind of take that mock up of a perfect client and put things in the space to attract them.
Mm.
So a lot of my clients are nurses and busy moms. So I was sure that I had a laptop table for them to work if they need to. I make
Mm.
sure that there's like chargers accessible. I make sure there's always snacks and drinks ready to go because they're probably busy and on the run. So you
Yeah.
kind of take those needs and those desires and kind of bring it to them so they feel like they're seen in the space as well.
Yeah. It really reminds me a lot of like the conversations that I've had about guest experience because having an amazing guest experience is so crucial to people coming back. And it's all about those like little touches that people don't even think of. And I want to get into more of that in a bit about like what are those touches. I love what you said about like the laptops and being intentional about catering to those clients. So it helps those clients feel seen and appreciated and like, oh wow, Allie like thought of everything for me. Like she knows what she's doing. But does it also help you to attract clients as well? And how does that work?
Yeah, because I love to talk about this with my design clients as kind of like the cute restaurant or Airbnb theory. Like, I don't know about you, but I would pay more to stay at a place that looks really cute
Oh yeah.
versus like an option that's
Oh,
probably closest to the venue.
absolutely.
I just feel like you want to feel good where you are going and where you are spending your money. And it just feels good to be in a space that feels good. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
I feel like just the design of it, especially in a suite environment, when you're in like the rows and rows of other suites, you kind of have to find a way to stand out and make your salon the place to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So you design your space intentionally, but then you also use it as a marketing tool to attract people. Does that mean that you also recommend that all your students get professional pictures done of their space? Because I've seen the pictures that you have of your space and they're absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I definitely feel like you don't have to have professional pictures, but I do think it goes a long way. I
Mhm.
use those pictures for everything.
Yeah.
And there's little moments in the space, especially when you like are intentional about it, that kind of become like what you're known for. Like,
Mhm.
for example, my salon is known for having golden hour. I am very fortunate to have these huge windows. And
Mm.
my design is this giant disco ball I have in the corner. But yeah, so during golden hour, this is my most requested appointment because of these photos.
Oh.
People want to be in there when the sun is hitting that disco ball just right because they want to see
Mm.
the room.
Yeah.
Because realistically, they're probably taking photos too, and they kind of want to show off how full the place is that they're at.
I do think that having great photos is an important part of marketing. And I do recommend that. Like right now, I'm actually making a checklist for marketing for salon suite renters. And one of the things that I recommend that you have before you open your doors is professional pictures because they make marketing so easy. Like you said, you use those pictures for everything and it kind of sells itself in some ways. It gives people an idea of the experience. Um,
Really.
yeah, so let's talk about people who aren't quite convinced that how important is design? What can happen if people don't focus on design in their salon suite?
I feel like it all comes down to intention, but it also comes down to your investment and not just financially. I feel like when you're personally connected to a space, you are more willing to kind of do the things you need to do to make it work. If you're
Mm,
not invested in where you're doing your job, you kind of have more of that feeling that, okay, maybe you can move on and go to somewhere else. But if
mhm.
you pour your heart and soul into this space, you are like, no, this is my salon home. This is where my clients love to come. This is where I love to be and do my work. I just feel like you're more motivated to get the job done and have lasting power. We have a lot of turnover,
Oh, yeah.
especially in the salon suite world. And I don't have statistics on this, but I feel like I should, that it's the girls that unfortunately don't take the time to invest in their space and their environment that end up leaving sooner than the ones of
Yeah.
us that.
Oh, yeah. That's such a good point. Such a good point. Okay, so what would you say to someone who has maybe opened their salon suite? They're just in like the first month or two of their business, and they maybe took out a little loan or borrowed some money from their parents to get all of their equipment. Like they finally got everything the way that they want it to, but their space looks really empty and blank and just like everybody else's space in the salon suite building. So, what would you say to someone who's just like on this budget but still wants to make their place look pretty?
Yeah, so I feel like, especially if you're going on a budget, I go over a lot of this in my program, but there's ways to kind of like have that budget work for you.
Mhm.
So if you're on a smaller budget at first and you maybe can't invest in a full look all at once,
Mhm.
I definitely recommend starting with your functional pieces and kind of going from the larger functional pieces down to the smaller, because that does all enhance your design. I feel like the number one thing you can do to make your suite stand out is new chairs. Most of the
New
time,
chair.
it comes, yes, the standard chairs.
Yeah. Which is funny because like that would be an expensive piece. I was thinking that you were gonna say like, oh, just like get some knickknacks like I've got back here. No, you're going the opposite way.
Yes, I feel like honestly, like most chairs now you can get for like maybe $200 to $300. And it honestly is one of the biggest pieces that makes your space look more custom,
Mm,
especially since suites usually come standard stocked with chairs.
yeah.
Switching those out immediately makes you look different from the one down the hall. But it's also a touch point for your clients. That is where your clients are going to sit and feel and be most of their appointment.
Yeah.
So it kind of is just that way of like you're investing in the client experience,
Hmm.
but you're also getting a more custom look.
Yeah. $200 or $300 doesn't even sound as expensive. I was expecting, like $1,000 plus, and I'm sure there are chairs like that.
There are.
But the
Yes.
ones
And
that you get on the lower end, are they still comfortable and do what they need to do?
yeah, so my first chair, because same thing, when I first moved in, I was like definitely balling on a budget. We were in the thick of COVID. So I believe my first chair was maybe $250, and I had it for 4 years.
Hmm.
And I love it. Like it's the brown chair in that photos that we were seeing before.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's really pretty.
It's from Minerva. It's a great chair. It's just a great starter fare, like it gave me that custom look I was looking for.
So invest in those things like a chair. Um, what do you think about mood lighting? Because I've got these lights behind me and I feel like they make such a difference for my videos. And I watch estheticians' facial videos on Instagram and I see when they have those lights, it does make a big difference. What do you think about that?
I 100% support mood lighting. And in fact, it is one of my number one tips for my clients that are in a more internal suite that don't
Mhm.
have windows for access to natural light. Definitely using mood lighting and lighting that's kind of in the peripheral vision can kind of trick your mind into thinking you have a window and you're not
Right.
trapped in a single box.
Hmm.
So it definitely just enhances the design, and it's a pretty quick and easy way to make it
Yes.
look more.
Yes. And what's your take on plants? Like I've seen your pictures. I know you like plants, but I'm curious if you have any tips for them.
Especially the more interior rooms. I know it's really hard. My first room, they were all fake.
Oh yeah, but there's actually really good fake plants now.
Yes, they do. Like surprisingly, IKEA has great ones. Target's getting better, but it's kind of hard. Amazon's great as well.
Amazon. Yeah.
Even with my room now, even with having the big windows, I still have fake plants in there. But I love them. I feel like adding greenery to a space just kind of adds warmth. It
Yeah.
just makes it feel a little more lively and intentional. And especially because me, I'm such a neutral girl, it gives me that pop of color. And like,
Hmm.
you can't work with every color story. It's a great way to add personality, but kind of just give it more warmth and more liveliness.
Yeah, amazing. So you said a color story. I'm curious because I've seen that on your Instagram too. Like,
Yeah.
does color story just mean essentially like what color you're painting the walls, like what your accent colors are? How does that work?
So I feel like it all goes back to your branding.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's always good to have five main colors, three of which being like your main and then your two accents.
Okay.
So what you can do is, especially if design doesn't come naturally to you,
Hmm.
having a color story to fall back on kind of gives you a guideline and parameters to stick within. So you know that if the items are within that color story or they match with that color story, it's going to look cohesive and fun.
Yeah.
And it's especially for your online branding as well. If you have the two matched together, it just builds so much client trust with that consistency. It changes your career completely.
Yeah. So do you recommend that people paint their space or like paint a wall? Is that even allowed?
Yeah, so every suite, obviously, location is going to have different rules, what
Hmm.
you can and can't do. Painting is definitely going to be most commonly okay. I definitely recommend painting the walls. I'm obviously a big neutral girl, so my go-to is like anything in the white family. But if
Hmm.
you like more color, my number one trick for you, especially if you're in the hair industry, is just to be aware of how that wall color reflects onto the hair.
That is a good
So
point. Yeah. And how it shows up in your pictures too.
it does. So if you know your clientele hates warmth in their hair, you're going to want to stick with cooler toned walls. Or if you have a clientele that's maybe a little more vivid color friendly, like the sky's the limit with that.
Yeah.
Just be sure that you're doing something that fits within your branding color story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, say for example, if I want to take my brand, I do like beige, cream, peach. Like those are kind of like the baseline colors because I know from experience of like if I have a brand board or mood board or whatever that's just full of bright colors, it's not going to work because you need like something basic and then you can have those pops. So I do like an orange and I've got like a neon, almost like a highlighter color, just for very small accents. So, would you recommend that if someone has mauve, let's say like a mauvey, like not so lilac as this one, but like a grayish, purplish color as one of their brand colors, would it be a good idea to paint your whole space that color, or maybe like an accent wall, or just keep it white and then just do touches of this mauve color?
I feel like it all depends on like the feel of your brand. So if the feel of your brand is more in that moody tone or more in that colorful realm,
Hmm.
go for it. But you're going to want to make sure you have those neutral moments to
Yeah.
kind of ground the piece. My personal favorite, I love a neutral wall. So
Hmm.
anything in beiges, the whites, and then you bring in those fun colors with the pops. And the reason why I love that is because I personally love to rebrand. I love to switch up my look all the time. And so by having the more neutral palette on the wall, which is maybe a harder change to make down the line, you
Hmm.
can switch out those details that have the color much easier. So
Yeah.
it's a way to keep it fresh without having to invest too much down the line.
Yes, I love it. Okay. So can let's bring up your pictures again. We talked about the chair. I love it. And I see that you've got that I don't know if that's an amplifier or is it an amplifier?
Yeah, it's actually a Bluetooth speaker. So
Oh,
that's
it's a
what I use
Bluetooth
for.
speaker. I love it. Okay. So we've got the Bluetooth speaker, we've got that chair there that matches. We've got that I think it's like some sort of quartz, like
Yeah, so my salon name is Citrine. And so it was really important to me to bring those in. And that's kind of how the camel color came to be, is it goes really well with that orange color. It kind of like reflects the same.
yeah.
So yeah, so those are citrines. There's also little citrines to from.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And then I see you've got your retail space there. So I think that that's a challenge for a lot of people of like, I want to display the products that I'm selling, but I don't really know how to make it look good because you've got those white boxes with your white background. That's really nice, but not everybody has those like neutral colored retail products.
Yeah, so I feel like that's where you can kind of find moments to display them in ways that
Hmm.
like give visual interest, but maybe don't take up as much visual real estate.
Yeah.
So if you are in a more neutral palette, but your products are looking more colorful, I would find ways to either put it like inside a cute basket or like have it stacked on top of like a cute little I use like a cake stand sometimes and just put like the
Mm,
wheat and
yeah.
kind of mask it with the others like decor pieces and go with more of my branding. So in that case, a lot of your retail would be in the backstock area, but you have those few things out on the shelf to kind of be a visual display.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so you also sent me over some videos from some of your students who have salon suites and what they've done. I think that's so cool. So let me share my screen.
So this is my student Abby. So we worked together when she was in a salon suite. And so then when he was like, I need more space, she does a lot of bridal makeup. She
Mhm.
was like, I need your help doing this, like this space from the ground up.
Is this part of the same one here?
Yes. So she has a whole bridal makeup area, her retail, and then her welcome area.
I noticed that one trend that's happening right now are these like arch shapes, like arch shaped mirror, arch shaped retail space. Do you think that it's okay to like go with kind of trends like that, even though they might change?
I feel like with trends, you can play with them as long as it's not a huge investment. You don't want to do something where you're going to regret if you want to change it later on down the line. So a lot of her pieces, especially the arched ones, are from Amazon and Target.
Oh,
So like if
really?
she wants to change her mind in a couple years, she's not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't get rid of this. I spent $1,000 on it. Uh,
Right.
I definitely feel like rounded shapes are definitely here to stay for a while. So I feel like
Hmm.
that's a trend. And it's definitely okay to invest in a little bit right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, amazing. I love that.
So this is my student Steph. She opened her first salon suite. She definitely has more of like a bohemian vibe. So
Hmm.
her space is called the Vinyl Beauty Lounge, and she loves to have vinyl and records playing all the time. So she definitely has like her favorites displayed, and she kind of went into like the more pastel bohemian vibe. So lots of
Hmm.
pinks, soft blues, terracotta, a little bit of a rattan too.
This is her space as well, right?
These are stills of her space.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Mhm.
Oh, and so this is a salon suite?
It is. And so she's able to, like the backsplash underneath,
Uh-huh.
it's just peel and stick tile. So she can take that down when she leaves eventually. It's not a super big investment.
Yeah. And then this piece of furniture came installed already in the salon suite. And then she just found some cute ways to make it. I love that it's got the little mushroom jars that are so like 1970s.
But it's so her. Like it's just if it suits her so well.
I think that that's such an important thing because you were saying like obviously it's about your clients, it's about giving them an amazing experience, but it's also about you and working in a space that you absolutely love. So, how do we start to uncover what are some of those things? And like going beyond just like, this is a trend. I saw this on Pinterest. I want my space to look cute so that people think I like have an aesthetic. But how do we
Mhm.
actually make it unique to us so it's not just a copy of somebody else's space?
So it definitely takes a lot of inner work. I always say the design process is it's like a big experiment in self
Hmm.
trust. So with my students, a lot of the times we start with just doing a little bit of reflection, which like can kind of feel a little scary. But usually if you're moving into a suite, you've been in the industry for a little while. So going back and looking at the things that you maybe not liked in the salon industry in the last few years. So like things that have worked for you, things that haven't, and really being intentional about like systems that you want to bring into your space. So for example, I'm a much more introverted stylist compared to most. So I know that having a bunch of clutter everywhere is not good for my mental. Like I
Hmm.
need focus. I can't create because I'm too focused on the mess.
Right.
On the so being sure I like have things in place to set myself up for success in that way
Uh-huh.
really took precedent when I was making the design. So
Yeah.
making these choices, knowing like, okay, I need a backstop area that's concealed. I need a way to sanitize everything that's not taking up too much of a visual footprint on a counter. So using things like that, like through your past experiences
Yeah.
to like work of the design is the important work you have to do first before you worry about the pretty stuff.
Yeah. And you've got a course. It's called Curated, right?
Yeah.
Where you walk people through all of those other things that they might not have thought of. Because I think we look surface level of like, oh, this is where I'll put a cute plant, but it's all about designing with intention.
Mhm. Exactly. So I feel like the biggest thing, like with curated, you do a lot of that reflection. And the first design choice outside of your color story and all of that is something I like to call your heart item. And
Mm.
so with this heart item, it's the first design choice you make. It doesn't necessarily have to have a purpose within the space. It's just a design detail that you feel super connected to. So something that kind of shows your personality that can just be there to be fun and make you
Yeah.
feel grounded. So mine is my disco ball. That's why it's so prominent in a lot of my
Hmm.
marketing. Um, and if I'm having a bad day, because sometimes it happens, hair is hard. Being in the beauty industry is hard sometimes. If I'm having a rough day, I can kind of just look at that disco ball in the corner and be like, all right, I'm good. I'm grounded in here. I feel good in here. This is where I want to be. And it kind of just like brings you back to that more grounded space.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a good tip. I love that. So I wanted to ask you about the guest experience because the guest experience is everything. Like I focus when I teach marketing, I teach Facebook ads, I teach advertising, I teach, how to promote and get the people in. But I think that a lot of people overlook that almost more important step, which is okay, you get those people in, but if you don't give them the experience of their lives, they've got other choices. It's all about keeping that clientele, keeping them loyal to you. Otherwise, you'll never be able to grow a successful business. So, um, what kind of advice do you have for someone to figure out? Maybe they're just like in the starting stages of their business and they don't have that much experience of like, oh, this is what my clients need. This is what they keep asking me for because they're just kind of at the beginning. How do they start to figure out what are those touches that I can do to give people a really good experience right off the bat?
Yeah, so I feel like it goes hand in hand with the design process. So I love to have people focus on finding three key words of
Mhm.
how they themselves want to feel in their space, but most importantly, how they want their clients to feel in the space.
Right.
So a lot of the times, like one of mine is grounded. I feel like I use that a lot. I want to be sure all of my decisions, especially with client amenities and the client experience, really emphasize that grounded feeling.
Mhm.
So you just want to use that as your inspiration to bring in those touches. So
Yeah.
whether it's having branded drinks, branded snacks, having the cell phone chargers, the laptop table, allowing your clients to choose what music they want, like
Hmm.
little things like that just can kind of like set you above everyone else. Because I feel like a lot of the times those things can really affect your experience. So just
Oh,
being,
yeah.
like, all goes back to intentionality, like we've been saying, being intentional about what feeling you want your clients to have in your space and using that as like your main source of inspiration for all your choices.
One thing that really stood out to me, my hairstylist here in the village that I live in, she's one of two hairstylists, I think, here because we've got 3,000 people here. But despite that, and despite the fact that like a lot of her clients are like, those little old ladies who get their perm, or like, there's even a lot of like older women who come in with their hair color like that they bought at the store and she'll do it for them. Like it's old school. So despite that, she does have like a growing clientele of younger people like myself who are more discerning, who, look for different types of things like balayage, like hair extensions, some more premium service, not like the 15 € services. And I think she's trying to cater more to that audience. And when she closed her salon for a couple months because she had some surgery, and when she opened back up, her space was completely different. And I sensed a change in her, and it wasn't just, a new lick of paint and stuff. I sensed like that she's trying to move her space to a different type of clientele. And one of the things that stood out to me is she changed her hangers. She used to have those like, those cheap wire hangers. Now she's got like thick velvet wrapped hangers, and they're nice and sturdy and your coat doesn't fall off. And most people would not think of that. They wouldn't think of it. It's like the furthest thing from their mind. But she thought of it, and it's sometimes those things that just go unnoticed, but they add up to make a really big difference.
I love that you said that because I'm a big believer in those small details sometimes matter the most. And I feel like your clients want to see that you love what you do and that you care about them and how they feel and how they look. That, like, one of my biggest things that people notice the most, I have these tiny gold whisks that I use to mix their color. And especially in a suite, your client sees everything,
Right.
literally everything. And so having those tiny details that just kind of make the experience that much more special, that, like, sure, you could use any whisk, you could use any hanger, but
Mhm.
just knowing that your service provider has thought about those details for you makes you feel more connected and makes you want to come back. It makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. And it's almost like you are intentionally attracting the type of people who appreciate those same little touches that you do. Can you give us a final hint about where's a really cool, like budget place to look for design items?
I am an Amazon girl till the day I die. One of my favorite things to do, my biggest hack I try to teach all my clients is that, especially when you're like looking through Pinterest, finding all your inspiration, a
Hmm.
lot of the times I know I tend to have expensive taste. So I'll find a designer thing, I'll search for it on Amazon. And usually, if you scroll down on like people also bought, where you might
Hmm.
also like 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a great dupe there. Um, or I don't know if you've heard of dupe.com, but you can literally paste a link to something and then you backslash dupe.com after the link itself, and it will show you and populate all these different alternatives.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, magic.
I love that. Yeah, that is such a great way. So it doesn't need to cost a ton, and it's about like more than just like putting a new coat of paint and like, adding in some plants. It's about being intentional about the little touches that add up to an amazing guest experience. So this has been so eye-opening. Thank you so much, Allie. I really enjoy talking about design. I think that you're amazing at what you do. If anyone wants to dig in deeper and work with you, can you tell us a little bit more about Curated and then maybe some of the other options that people have to work with you to design their space?
Yeah, so you can find me. I'm the Organized Hairstylist on Instagram. My website is theorganizedhairstylist.com. And I have Curated, which is a self-led course. It'll guide you through the salon design process step by step. That way, there's no second guessing. You know exactly what you need to do next to get that transformation you're craving. I also have a few little like sourcing list guides where you could literally shop my salon. I curated it all for you on one page, so you don't even have to think about it. And I also have Design Collab, which is my personal favorite way. It's a 4-week container where we work together one on one to design your space personally. So it's so much fun. Design goes so much deeper than just having a pretty space.
Yes.
And I think everyone's careers transform from it. I love helping people make more money. And I feel like design is a great avenue to do that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Allie, for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you for coming on. In the description of this video, I'm going to be dropping Allie's links to her website, to her Instagram, and to Curated so you can check it out. And then let us know in the comments. What would be a fun question to ask people in the comments, Allie?
I feel like, what is their design goal for next year? Like, what trend are they going to embrace next year?
Yes.
Something that they want to implement, so that way they're a little more motivated to do it.
Yes. Okay. Let us know in the comments what you want to do with your space next year. Do you have any inspiration? Do you have any questions that you want to ask Allie? She'll come on and answer them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.
They seem like
Bye.